Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 2 of Stone Block 3. We played around a little bit between last episode and this one, just doing some manual grinding. I think I used this hand crank thing, millstone setup that we did in the previous episode to go through, I think it was 3 stacks of gravel. I think it ended up being 3 stacks of gravel, which has generated us, some resources. It's not a crazy amount of resources, which is kind of unfortunate, but hey, it's better than nothing. You can see here, I got a ton of saplings because I made a ton of trees and collected them down. And just a little bit of just like grinding. I'm just doing some little things between last episode and this one. I set up a little furnace setup over here. Just doing things kind of getting us in a good spot so that this episode we're not wasting a ton of time. Obviously just like a dump chest in here. But the main thing we're going to work on this episode is continuing along this getting started. I want to get into create. Create's going to be the main thing. I want to get our first level of ore generation, or I guess resource generation, kind of ready to go, and like maybe finish by the end of this. I'm going to want to work into it. We'll see how we go for time, but the idea is at least to get at least the encased fan going, washing things, and then if we're really lucky, getting the crushing wheels going. But that's probably in next episode. But yeah, so we're going to do that. We're going to continue along this. We've got ourselves up onto the Cobble Gen Tier 1 quest, which I smelted up this stone that we needed for that in the previous, between episodes. So there's that. I've got my bucket of lava, bucket of stone. I think the only thing that I'm missing for this is a piece of glass, cobble. Yeah, just a piece of glass. So let's quickly smelt up this thing of sand. And with this melted piece of sand we call glass, I'm going to make myself my first cobble gen. So let's get that going there. That's all well and good, which means I no longer have to use hammers and things to mine out massive tunnels. I can just break this chest real quick. I'm going to spill a lot of stuff everywhere. But I can place down my cobble gen and then a chest on top of it. And we have passive cobblestone. Thank goodness. Given this first tier is actually kind of slow, I think we might want to get it to tier 2 as fast as we can. But that's obviously getting into like the siege stone and stuff from Tinker's Construct, which we're not going to do quite just yet. But I think the first order of business is getting rid of this thing, because hand cranking this stuff is not a fun time. Which means we're going to need to generate ourselves some rotational power in, a more passive way, a way that we don't need to do it with our own hands. And I think the way we're going to do it, kind of to start with, is by using a water wheel, or at least 3 of these, because we are going to have to power not just the millstone, but also an encased fan and then crushing wheels. And these crushing wheels, as you can see there, the kinetic stress impact of these things is high. So we're going to need a lot of rotational power. So let's get on to the first thing. I need to get myself a bunch of wood. I need some iron. I'm probably going to need some andesite and some zinc cooked up so that we can make ourselves some andesite alloy. So I'm just going to take all this 56 zinc that we got from the millstone and just kind of smelt it all up in these 5. Okay, I've got now myself these 40 ingots of zinc because we're going to need this to create ourselves the andesite alloy. And just by looking at the recipe here, I just realized we can use actually iron nuggets. We have way more iron than we do zinc. So I think I'm going to opt for using the iron like nugget route for making this stuff. Because I do think we have a bit more of it sitting around somewhere. If not, we can always smelt up some more. Because like I said here, we have like another stack. I'm not going to worry too much about doubling at this point in the game, because we are pretty like, we're okay. And if I'm going to be doing some grinding and stuff like that between episodes, it just like, it's more time for me, but shouldn't really affect you guys in like viewing this. So I'm not going to stress too much about it. I'm just going to get the iron cooking. So let's take, I may as well take this zinc that I've got. It doesn't hurt. I'm going to take that and I'm going to grab, I'm just going to make a stack of this stuff straight away. So I'm going to take my 2 stacks of andesite and then 2 stacks of zinc nuggets and craft them up like this to make ourselves a stack of andesite alloy. And we're going to need to make ourselves the water wheels. So first of all, we're going to need some planks. Planks are going to need to turn into slabs, which will be part of this recipe. The next thing is going to be a large cogwheel, which is just a small cogwheel and planks, or just a shaft and planks. Ah, they've changed the recipe for these things. That's actually not that bad. So let's make ourselves just like a bunch of shafts because these things are handy. And then with this, I can take my planks and let's just make like 4 of them to start with. And then make ourselves some more small cogwheels or just regular cogwheels. Because I think I'm going to want 3 of these to start with. So let's make those. 2, 3. I think that's a pretty standard spot to start with for water wheels, so we can do that. And then once we've got these set up, I've kind of picked out a spot over here for them. Once we got these set up, we can kind of look at how I want to run the rest of this stuff. But before we do anything like that, I've got myself my 2 buckets of water because I'm going to need myself an infinite pool of water. I don't think I've made one of these yet. I have been playing a lot on this one and I've kind of forgotten what I've done and what I haven't done. But infinite pool of water means I don't need to use the cauldron anymore, which makes life 10 times easier. I'm going to start by placing down my water wheels, just kind of here in the wall. I think this is where I want them set up ultimately. And we're just going to build out a path for the water to travel. And I think this is actually going to be fine. I probably actually want to move these guys down one now that I think of it. Because I want to have a channel for the water and I don't want the water just kind of spilling everywhere. So we're going to go like this. And these guys are actually facing the wrong way because I want the water flowing out. So this way. Yep. I want the water flowing out from the wall. Why are you placing funny? Hello? Is it because I pressed shift? No, you're a shaft. There we go. Cool. So I want those to go there. And then I want the water to travel down underneath the water wheels like this. And then I need the water to start from a block back like that. And that should be nearly full speed once we get this running. So if I put water there and there, and then finally there, these guys are running. I can't see the stress units or anything like that because of how they're placed, but there's our little waterfall sitting in our backyard. And I'm actually going to change the design of this. Hold on, this is going to look a bit nicer. That's much better. One thing I kind of want to take more notice of in this playthrough, compared to other playthroughs I've done of other mods and stuff, is kind of, you know, paying more attention to how I'm building things and trying to make them look a bit nicer. So this is kind of like my first little attempt at that, right? Since we've already got like a nice little starting area, I kind of want to keep it looking nice. Okay, so number one, we need to get, besides all that, we need to get our millstone set back up and this thing automated. So this thing really shouldn't be that hard. I should just be able to break that block there, place a large cogwheel going off of that, and then I just need one more. Oh, that's annoying. That's kind of annoying, actually, if the water's going to flow out through there. Actually, we can fix this. I just need another trapdoor. Fixed. We need another cogwheel because I've already run out of those. We may as well just make a bunch of these. You do end up using a lot of this stuff playing with Create, so we may as well not skimp out. Cool. So that's a cogwheel. That's that. That's my millstone. Okay. Number one, we can place the cogwheel at 90 degrees from each other like that, and that'll activate my millstone if I place it. It would work here in that block, but we've got the trapdoor there, so we've got to cut out a little bit of extra space here. Alright, bang. Millstone goes there. That is now spinning. This thing should now pretty much be fully automated. We just need a couple things. I'm going to get myself 2 hoppers and 2 more chests. And these are just going to be placed very simply, right? So we're going to go chest there, a hopper going into the millstone, and then a hopper going out of the millstone into the chest. We can replace these with, I guess, a block of moss and then a plank. For the time being, I will fill these in things later on. Something nicer, but this should now be automated and getting ourselves some stuff from gravel. So we may as well just grab a bunch of gravel. I think it's in one of these chests. Looking around the base, I found myself 5 stacks of gravel, so that can now live in there very easily. This thing is now, obviously the gravel is going to go inside the hopper. The hopper is then going to pull it into the millstone. We can see that is now filling up with gravel and making ourselves some stuff here. You can see it generating and coming down in here. All right, that is gravel automated. So the next thing that we need to start working on then is getting ourselves the encased fan. So this is going to be a bit of crafting. So let's get ourselves over to a workbench. How do we need to do this? So let's start with the propeller. I think this will be the easiest thing. So we got ourselves the andesite alloy. Iron sheets can be crafted. A press would probably be the easiest way, realistically, since we've already got ourselves into mechanism. I wonder. You're a block of iron, though. You're kind of expensive. Mechanism? I mean, create. We may as well do this. Let's just use create for everything. Because why not? Okay, we want the mechanical press. I want to make this stuff. So let's select A on U. So how do we make this bad boy? Need myself block of iron. Bang. Done. Next thing is going to be some andesite casings. So these seem to be just placing like right-clicking a piece of stripped log with andesite alloy. Okay, so let's just do this. Let's just make like 10 of these. That's 10 of those now collected. So we should be able to make ourselves a mechanical press very easily. And this one I think I'm just going to hook up over here on the other side of my watermill. I think that'll be the easiest place to do this. And if I put that there, this should actually work quite nicely. So all I'm going to do to get this working then is I'm going to go a shaft coming off of this and then a gearbox there, and that should make this thing work. So I just need to make myself a gearbox, which is just one of these. It's another andesite casing with some small cogs. Super easy to make. And then if I throw that there, this is now spinning. So if I throw a piece of iron under there, it's working pretty slow. There we go. That's an iron plate. I only need 4 of these. And then with those 4, I can make myself a propeller. And then that propeller can turn into an encased fan. Nice. So we can have a look at how this thing works. We can do washing and things like that. But does this tell us? Here we go. They use rotational force to create an air current. Nice. They can push or pull depending on which way that they spin, which is all nice and easy. The thing that we're worried about is this. It's the washing, or like doing the cooking with lava flow, right? I think the only thing that matters with these is like the speed that goes into it only affects the distance of which things can be cut. So right now, our create system isn't exactly spinning very fast, right? Because we're going just directly from a water wheel. But that doesn't really matter to us, because what we can do is instead just work or like operate off the fact that we're not going to be going very far, which will be pretty easy for us. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to set up a space here where I can set up this encased fan. I'm going to just try to think about it a little bit as to how I want to set this up. Okay, I think this little bit of design should work here. So I've got my encased fan sitting back there. That the arrow is pushing out, which means it's going to be blowing out this way. I've got my water there because this is how we're going to generate ourselves some ores. If we look at the quest here, let's say from washing gravel, we can get emeralds, lapis, and all these other things, right? So let's say we care about lapis lazuli. So by washing gravel, going through that, we get a chance for all of these things. Oh, it's only a chance. Wow, washing really isn't that good. I almost like don't even want to do it, but I guess we're going to anyway, because we are going to need this stuff in no small order. So that's that. So we're going to have to wash this stuff. Okay. So we're going to push the air through the water. This is where the items are going to sit to get washed. And then I don't like about picking them up and dropping them. I don't think we're going to worry about too much, because the system isn't going to last forever. But we've got to get rotational force over to that thing anyway. So how do we want to do this? Okay, I'm going to do this pretty simply, just with 3 gearboxes. I'm going to go a gearbox there to send some rotational power backwards. I'm just going to like dig out a path here real quick, because we obviously need to get it towards the end of the encased fan, or to rather to the back of the encased fan. So we're going to go another gearbox there, and then another gearbox there, because this will just do really nice right angles for us. Cool. And that is now blowing stuff through the encased fan. Wow, that is actually going quite a distance. I did not expect it to go that far. Okay, so if that's the case, what we're going to do is I'm just going to I'm going to press shift right click there. And that's going to close that. So now I just need to get items to drop onto that. And I think we're going to do that just with a chute, which is another item from create. If I can remember how to make it. One of these bad boys. I just need 2 more iron sheets. Okay, so the chute kind of works like a hopper, except that it'll drop things directly below it, and it should actually pull from inventories above it. So because of that, we're going to grab ourselves another chest. Bang. There, so I'm going to place another chest above this. And for washing, we should just be able to grab the sand that we are generating inside of this, and then just drop it in there, and that'll drop it on top. Now about picking up these items, I haven't really thought about that yet, but this is going to take some time. Whoops. This is going to take some time, and we'll eventually get resources out of this. Alright, that actually transformed pretty quickly. Wow, that got us a lot of stuff pretty rapidly, actually, I'm not going to lie. I need more storage. Alright, we did all that with that bit of sand that we were getting as just kind of a byproduct from this gravel. That was pretty quick. I don't think this is that big of an issue. We can get a lot of stuff pretty rapidly here. Like, it doesn't take all that long to transform. So what I might actually do is... I guess we don't really need to. That's all fine. We can get this stuff. So looking at that then, do we continue with getting started? Because we're kind of here at an impasse. I've got to do dust as well, so that we can get some other resources and complete that quest. We may as well do that. Now, I don't know if we did this in the previous episode, but I've made myself an iron hammer, which is better than the stone one, purely because we can take the compressed version of these, like cobblestone and stuff, and make ourselves, like the, whatchamacallit, make ourselves gravel and things much, much faster. So we can just go there, press K to compress this stuff and turn it into the compressed block, place them down. Doesn't really matter how you place them, so long as they're placed. Infinity miner, or not, FTB ultimine, that turns it into dirt. Do the same thing, compress, until we get dust. And then same thing, the dust can get washed, and that generates us resources. Nice. So that's that quest done. So now we're kind of at an impasse here. Do we go into making the crushing wheel? And making this thing is going to be kind of expensive, right? Because we need mechanical crafters, and that requires electron tubes, which are polishing rose quartz. Are we getting rose quartz any other way? No, we've got to craft it, which means getting nether quartz. How do we get nether quartz? Okay, we can get nether quartz by washing soul sand. And I think getting soul sand is another one of these quests. Yeah. And then we can turn sand into soul sand once we get soul fire. Okay, so we need to get our first piece of soul sand then. We need a mob soul. Okay, mob souls have a 20% chance of dropping any time a mob dies. Well, we've got 2 mobs already spawned. He's running away because he knows what's about to happen. Nothing. Also nothing. And nothing times 3. Alright, so what we're going to do instead then is I'm going to make a dark area. Because maybe it's hostile mobs and not passive mobs. This may have been a mistake. It was a mistake. And even after all that, we didn't get a mob soul. Alright, we're going to have to do this a couple times. We'll be back in a second. Alright, that only took about 10 minutes, but we finally got ourselves a mob soul. Let's light this place back up, because I don't actually want mobs, you know, spawning in here while I'm doing other things. We also got ourselves a, uncommon loot crate as a drop. That's kind of cool. Can we open you? 2 times compressed stone. Not the handiest thing in the world, but I'll take it. It gives me, a couple stacks of regular stone? Not bad. Like I said, not good, not bad. We'll take it. What else? Alright, we got our mob soul. What do we do with this now? Let's look at the quest. You can get soul sand by combining sand, mob soul, and some water in a mixer. After your first, you can make more by bulk haunting with a fan. Alright, so I guess we've got to make ourselves a mixer, which is another item from Create. Create, mix. One of these things. How difficult are you? Pretty much the same, we just need to make a whisk. Which means we obviously need to make some more iron plates, which again we can do pretty easily since we've got this thing over here. Now, the mixer also requires us to use another item called a basin. So we may as well make ourselves another one of those as well. So what do you need? You're just andesite alloy. Okay, so that's not that hard. Alright, we can make ourselves a whisk. And then a mechanical mixer. And then we can make ourselves a basin nice and easily. Alright, so we've got to do these things. This actually requires us now to get to a certain speed before this works. And I don't think the default speed of the what is it, the water wheels is actually fast enough. So I'm going to dig out some space here because we need to like speed this up, which we can do pretty easily. Same way as the gears work in real life. If you get a large cogwheel with more teeth spinning into a smaller cogwheel with less teeth, if we go like that, you can see the output of that one there is actually faster. So then the other thing I can do here is I can then go back to a large one, and then that large one can go to a 90 degree, because that's how the mechanical mixer hooks up. Now hopefully this is fast enough. If I put that there, we need a mob soul in there. I need a piece of sand. There, and I think I need some water. Bang. Bang. And why aren't you spinning? Oh, because you're placed wrong. Oh, that's annoying. I think this actually needs to get placed diagonally across for it to actually start spinning. Bonk. There we go. Now that's going. And water. And there we go. We know it's obviously fast enough now because this is like, you know, operating. And that's our first piece of soul sand. And we can get ourselves more soul sand pretty easily now that we have this. So I'm just going to do the same setup here with the encased fan. I'm just going to make myself another item really quickly. Oh, we have a loot bee. We should go after that. Oh, no, it's gone. Never mind. We should have dug for it. We didn't. Oh, well. We're actually going to use now a different item from Create. It's called an encased chain drive. We're going to use multiple of these. And these are really handy from like just, what's the word? Transferring rotational energy in a way that like, if you hook up gearboxes kind of sequentially, what happens is like the rotation it's reversed, and we don't want that to happen. What we want to happen is the rotation going the same way so that we can, you know, keep using the same setup for obviously transforming our sand into soul sand. So what we need to do is get some of these encased chain drives. I actually need 3 of them, which is why I'm doing this. Bang. All right, and these are going to hook up into the back of our... Oh, this isn't going to work because of the gearbox. We have to actually change the setup as well. We have to break all of this slightly. So we're going to go chain drives going into the back of all of these. That doesn't really matter how that's set up. It just looks different. Actually, we'll do it. We'll do it like that just so that aesthetically it looks the same. And then we're going to jump up on this side and actually need the rotational power now going into the back of this, which really isn't that hard. It's just getting our gearboxes, moving them back one, and then using some extra, like one extra shaft. So bang, like that. And you can see there, these are still blowing. And now all that we should be like need to do now is flint and steel that. So I've got a piece of flint there. Thank you. We can set fire to that. That makes soul fire. And now if I just grab sand and place sand into this and just let it drop down, we can keep an eye on it from the front to see when it changes. That makes soul sand. Then this soul sand can get placed into this chest, which will drop in front of here. And then that turns into nether quartz and some glowstone dust. Alright, so that's some of it. That's not, obviously, we're going to need a lot more of this, right? Because if we want to get to the crushing wheel, let's have a look, hey? Crushing wheel needs 21 of these mechanical crafters, and one craft makes 3. So what's 21 divided by 3? We need to do this 7 times. So I need 7 of these electron tubes, which means I need at least 7 nether quartz and a bunch of redstone. So we need to do this a bunch more times, which realistically isn't that hard, because that's just more time on my part, right? Making more gravel to make more sand to do all these things, right? But I think that is probably a good enough point of progression for this episode. I think that's probably where we're going to leave it for this one. Next episode, we'll come back, we'll work more on this, we'll get into the crushing wheel, and we'll see where we go from there. So if anyone is still watching, thank you all for watching. Make sure you like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you all on the next one. Peace.